highlights, one of the major highlights of Kabbalah, and we all heard about them, and we have some kind of a notion or a feeling or some kind of a knowing about Kabbalah and about the Sefirot. And yes, we have a notion about the Sefirot, but we're not really sure, we think we know about them. So just to put the record straight for due diligence, I've been studying this Sefirot from the age of 20. I think I'm not 20 already for quite a few years. I'm already 21. And so it's been a lifetime of a journey to understand what are they about, how do they work, and what is it all about. So I'm going to give you first the key, or I'm going to open the door for you to understand what they're about, instead of just diving into endless amount of details that people like less. What we're going to do is first of all give you an inkling what are the Sefirot, or in English spheres, and then with that we can run along and understand as we go along today, next time, what are they all about. So let's discuss first of all, understand that our human body is not made only of 7 chakras, but it's made of 10 Sefirot, 10 spheres. And the reason it's made this way, because in the Bible, in Genesis, it says that a human being was created in the image of God. So any organization, I'm giving you the bottom line, any organization, any system, any company, any animal, plant, any cell on a cellular level, atomic level. And yes, I've been to university for 16 years, so I should know something about science as well, as a PhD in astrophysics as well. And especially the human body and being, not only on the physical level, but especially on the spiritual, emotional, and mental level, is definitely made out of this 10 Sefirot. So we really want to understand, why, what are these 10 Sefirot? The whole world is speaking about them, and so many books have been out there for thousands of years about them. Where does it start? So first and foremost, we understand that the first book to tell us about the Sefirot is the book attributed to Abraham, the forefather, who lived some 4,000 years back, plus minus 1 or 2 years. We're not going to go to court on that, but about 4,000 years. And this book is all about the Sefirot. If you could accomplish this book from side to side and really delve into and understand, you can formulate that golem of Prague, that special robotic kind of human being, soulless, that you can create through this book. And this is what great people, giants of knowledge, giants of spiritual mentors that we know the names throughout the ages for the last nearly 4,000 years, have followed in his footsteps. They've created all kind of creations and creatures with the knowledge of this book, which is really a meditative book, not only the theoretical part, but real Kabbalah, which is white magic of how to utilize. So this is the angle. The angle, I don't promise you that you're going to create tonight, the Golem of Prague, right? Or that we're going to delve into practical Kabbalah, because that is beyond the scope of this. And I once used to teach something like that, but I was afraid that people must misuse it, the holy names of God, etc. So I don't teach it anymore. But if any one of you wants to delve into deeper and make it into a life's...
No. When I'm with you,
Shirley, please put it on mute.
I work with sisters. I work with family members. And this is my job to know.
Sorry, 1 second. Shirley, please put yourself on mute.
Between the people. Otherwise, I'll be sympathize with them,
please.
With them at the same level.
Somebody forgot to mute themselves.
I'm going to lose my mind. So
somebody forgot to mute themselves. Right. Oh, that's better. So, so we're going to start step by step. The first step to understand is really that we have to have an analogy to understand how does it work. The Sefirot, or the 10 vessels, or the 10 screening mechanism by which God reveals himself in the way that he runs this world, all the worlds, and there are quite a few higher worlds, and we're going to discuss this as well. He is not limited by the Sefirot, and I'm going to give you very, beautiful analogy. And this analogy is from the human psyche and body because we are made in God's image. So what does that mean? It means that we've got so many organs in our body. How many exactly? 248 organs, for lady 252 because of the womb and everything, all the auxiliaries around. We've got 365 sinews in our bodies. Beautiful. But I've only got one soul. When I hear with my ears, I don't hear with the ears, I hear through my ears. If I hear beautiful classical music, a cow can also do that. We're talking about Sefirot, but she won't hear music. She will hear sounds. She can't translate it into what it translated into a human being. When I see something beautiful, exciting, divine, romantic, a cow will see the same, but she won't translate it into anything in her mind. But I will translate, because I've got a divine soul inside me like you do, into something else. So we see with these through our eyes, the soul sees through our eyes, the mind understands, the soul understands through the mind, and through my ears, my soul can hear. The different organs that are functioning in my body are many, as we discussed, but the soul is only one, and it's endless. It's not limited by the body. I can fly out of my body every night, which I do, as we all do. We go back to where we come from. We don't remember those 6, 7, 8 hours that we slept because our soul leaves the body. So again, the soul is one. And the reason we were given this analogy in our body is to understand exactly how does God operate. He is one. He's complete unity. He's endless. He's not limited by the Sefirot, by the holy spheres, Kabbalistic spheres, but he runs them, governs them, controls them, supervises them. And they are, so to say, his organs by which he reveals himself to us and he interacts with us. Why does he need them? Why does God need these Sefirot? Why? Well, if I want to play football facing Ronaldo, or if I want to play basketball facing whoever it is in the NBA, there's quite a few names, I won't use the same organs. I won't. But the real play is the one behind the scene, the soul, of course. So God has devised this incredible mechanism, this apparatus, which is called the Sefirot, through which we can understand him in different ways. If God acts on the one hand very compassionately to those people who managed to flee away from Ukraine, on the other hand, there's so many wars around and so many people already wounded, killed, whatever it is. So we can't understand a compassionate God and the world going through war and people dying. We cannot fathom that. It's too much for a person to handle. So God sometimes acts through one sphere in a compassionate way, the sphere of chesed, of kindness, and sometimes he acts through another sphere, which is the sphere of gvura, the sphere of strength or judgment or sternness, because that's what needs to be done. Before this, ask yourself a question. Why is God so cruel to me? Why is he showing me sternness, hardship, nothing bad? Some people even call it cruel or bad. And the answer is, which is very shocking kind of answer, which we can discuss forever, but it's not a philosophical, theological discussion. We're talking practically what is Sefirot. The answer is God is not doing anything to you. You brought it on yourself by being too humble, you didn't stand your ground, or you did the same to others in the previous incarnation, you don't remember. For whichever reason it is, we bring upon ourselves that kind of enactment of judgment upon ourselves, and God facilitates it because of our own free will. He's not going to, every time something bad happens, he's going to say, I'm going to put my foot down. No, that's what free will is about. People can kill each other, people can love each other, people can steal from each other, be fraudulent, and people can be very kind and compassionate and generous toward others. It all depends on us. So the Sefirot come to teach us that if we see in our lives hardship, if we see in our lives things that we don't like, we need to go into our own microcosm, into our own self. And doing that, we need to understand that through this, if we change something internally by emulating God's ways and understanding what we are going through, we categorize it through a certain sphere, we can come to complete resolution. We can come to complete resolution when it comes to this by changing our own actions, by inviting into our lives, this kind of incredible change of behavior and pattern. We're inviting God to change our own karma, and this is what it's all about. So this is very, very crucial and important to understand that there is no limitation. There is no division by God. God is one. There is no division by him. He doesn't need anyone to help him along. But by definition, since he's eternal and bodiless, formless, immortal, he doesn't need help. He was before the world was there. He's going to be after the world. He's there. If you read very clearly the second commandment, it says there, you should not make yourself any kind of idols, not any human being, not any kind of idols made of any form. And that includes in it even the forces of nature. Say, I'm so petrified of earthquakes, of hurricanes. I'm so which will be the sphere of Gvura, because I'm seeing judgment coming on. I'm so petrified of this war, and it should be. But I'm seeing the stick. I'm not seeing what's behind. Behind is God allowing free will of human beings. Why did the Holocaust happen? Where was God? Why was so cruel? And the answer is no, God wasn't so cruel. He allowed free choice, and people became like Western animals, and they were very cruel, because free choice goes all the way. Otherwise, it's not free. It's a choice. It's a limited choice. God said, free choice, be like me. I've got free choice. You do you. You do whatever you want. This is very interesting. So now we have to understand a little bit, right, the understanding of the Sefirot, and understand the Sefirot, first of all, are the titles of God. The Sefirot are the titles of God. What do I mean by titles, right? So what is God? Compassionate, merciful, a man of war. And if you look throughout the Bible, these kind of different kind of challenges, different kind of labels and titles of God come across again and again, and they are definitely there. They are definitely there. Yes, God is this, God is that. So we attribute to God, we refer to him as a compassionate, loving Father. God is all good. Do we really know the essence of him? No, we will never know. But he wants to reveal a part of him through this enactment towards human beings, by virtue of which we can correspond, we can address him, we can interact with him and understand where are we having an interaction with God, what is wrong, how can we change things and come to embetterment. And I'm going to start with you to do this short, not before I'm going to ask you any kind of questions till now concerning, also including free choice or whatever it is that you'd like to address or change.
I would like to ask
yes, please
the
do.
similarity, if any, between the Sefirot and the Chakras.
I didn't hear that. I would like to address the question of
The similarities, if any, between the Sefirot and the Chakras.
Yes, very good question. So the chakras, if somebody is not muted, so Philippa, I think, just please mute yourself that we can, because we can hear you. Philippa, somebody called Philippa there. If you can mute yourself, we will really be appreciative. I don't know the number of somebody called Philippa. So the answer is the chakras are not really 7, because if somebody has studied it to depth, and I have a little bit more, actually 14 chakras. So it does come from the philosophy of the Eastern philosophy, and we know that some of those chakras definitely parallel the Sefirot. However, when you look at the chakras, they're all central. There's no left and right in the body. They don't mimic, or they don't display, or they don't represent, or they don't embrace the entire spectrum of a human body. With the Sefirot, even though it's just 10, and Abraham, the forefather, was very clear in the book of creation, which I learned and taught many times, that they're not 11 and they're not 9, they're exactly 10. And if we doubt that there are only 10, right? And why should it be 10? We should count our digits. Hand digits, feet, toes. We have the 10. 10 is a number repeating itself in our own creation, so we know it's there. And so if I want to address my liver on the right, I'm going to learn which chakra is that, or my spleen on the left. And why do I have two lungs? The chakras do not address individually each section of the body. The chakras do not address our legs at all. The chakras do not address our legs at all, because according to the chakras, it's just a question of centrality. And the bottom chakra is the base chakra, as we all know, red. But I don't address where does the foot comes through with the left foot, right foot. If I have a pain there, if I have any question over there, if I need healing over there. And therefore, the chakras do cover the entire human body. But the chakras only cover the human body. The 10 spheres do not cover only the human body. They cover the atoms, they cover the planets, any organism, any system. They cover, even if you think about it, the game of soccer. The 11 players, one of them is the goalkeeper, one of them is the playmaker. There should have been 10. They made 11 for a reason. They made 11 for a reason. But any system, any company, any game, within it, there's 10 spheres. So the 10 spheres is not limited only to the human body. The chakras are, and they don't cover the entire system. Can anyone else would like to ask anything? Philippa, you are not muted. So if you'd like to ask, it's fine. If not, please mute yourself because we can hear you. A woman called Philippa, fine, please mute yourself. Yes, I think that Michael wants to ask a question. Please go through. Go ahead.
Just to reflect on what Filippo was saying. The way I always understood it from researching different philosophies or belief systems, the similarities that I saw between the chakras and the tree of life was that there actually are 10 chakras, because you have your ethereal body, I believe, don't quote me. You have your ethereal body and your astral body. So it's like you have your soul, your spirit, and then your body. And each of them their own chakra. And then, of course, that gets into a whole mess with numerology. But that's how I've heard it explained in the past. And from what I know, it isn't very. And studying the tree of life, it was like Dr. Gill said, it encompasses everything, every part of the being, rather than just certain phases, which are still on the lower plane. So if you're only working with 7 chakras and there's nobody really who could explain to you how to access the higher 3 chakras, because that is your oversoul, your higher self, whatever new thought movement calls it. So I think there's a reason that God gave us Kabbalah, and that we have 10 digits, and that the number is 10. So that's just my opinion.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think Philippa wanted to ask something or say.
No, I didn't. I was just eating my breakfast, actually.
Good morning to you. I'm not sure where are you located, Philippa, in the world?
Australia.
Australia. So we're happy that you're in Australia. You are ahead of us. You are 10 spheres ahead of us. Anything that you want to, it's a pleasure to have you. So anything you'd like to address or reflect from what you had so far?
Well, I've only ever had one, what I would term mystical experience.
Yes.
I went to a Hungarian Jewish Seder. I think that's how you say it.
Yes.
And we had Hungarian dinner, and then everyone's there. And then we started praying, and we connected with some gigantic beings. Like, have you ever seen the Ramses II sculpture?
Right. Yes. Definitely.
and we connected with these, what appeared to be very similar to that statue, that sculpture.
Yes.
But then it dawned on me that it was actually whales.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was like the whale trying to be not so scary, because if you connect with a guy with the brain that big, it's a little bit scary. So
That's true.
he made himself look like a human.
Wow.
Very
That is
bizarre,
incredible.
but it was really powerful. And
Right.
halfway through, the Jewish guy, the rabbi or whatever, looked at everyone and sort of said, you know, did you connect with these beings?
Right.
Everyone was hanging onto the side of the table, sort of.
Right.
Quite shocked. So that's the only real
Mystical experience that you believe that you had. So thank you very much for sharing. And we're going to really go, unless somebody wants to add, we're really going to go into understanding where do these Sefirot come from, what do they mean, how are they built. So first of all, I want to give you a structure. We can discuss one by one, and then you're going to drown in an endless sea of details. But I want to be a good teacher. At least I'm trying my best. So we're going to divide it into 3 different stories or 3 different levels. Make it simple, not hard. And right side, left side, and center. So let's go through the human body, rather. I'm going to give an analogy on the human body. It will be very, very simple to understand. First of all, as follows. I'm going to make a comparison to Eastern religions and cultures that were asked here as well, Mr. Chakras. And that is, when we have the yin and yang, the yin and the yang, the male and the female, and the special sign where the flow between them is a bit of a circle in the black, a bit of a circle in the white. What does it mean? I'm talking about Sefirot. It means that according to Eastern tradition, which I've learned in the past quite a lot, there are 2 forces, good and evil, and they always have a battle between them. And sometimes the good wins, and there's a bit of a good in the evil, and sometimes some evil in the good, and that's okay. But there is no middle line. And that's the reason why the chakras do not have, they only have a central line, but they don't associate with right, left, and center. Come the Sefirot, the Kabbalistic Holy Sefirot, and say, first of all, understand, the Sefirot is not a mechanism, it's not an organ, it's something that human beings invented. Kabbalah, by definition, is something that we've received from the divine, and this is the actual operation of God. We didn't invent it and say, well, maybe God operates this or the other. No, this is godly given to us through Moses at Mount Sinai, to the one who wrote the Holy Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He's a spark of his soul, came through the ages, through the Ari Kadosh Arizal, some 100 years ago, till this very lecture today that's humbly yours. We're trying to work it out together, let's put it this way. So this is really the way that God operates. We don't think this way, we know this way, and we can prove that it is this way for thousands of years. So this is not a theology lecture or some kind of philosophy. This is life. This is life itself. So first of all, we have in Kabbalah incredible innovation that is 3 lines. The right line, in other words, if you're looking at me, my right line will be my right and all this side. All the right line is the line of kindness, the line of wanting to give to other people, the line of being a giver, the line of becoming very much in God's image. You'll ask yourself, if somebody's left-handed, what is it? It means that it flips. It means that it flips. But in general, the right line of the Sefirot means you've got a very good eye, you're very sensitive, you're respectful, you want to do the right things, what we usually call a mensch, which means we are very kind, compassionate people. And it does not apply only, we're going to learn the details, to my mind. It applies to my actions, to my warmth, to my embracing other people in every kind way. The left side of the Sefirot is the line of judgment, of restriction, of limitation, of boundaries. So think to yourself, is that a necessary thing to do in this world? Cruelty, judgment, limitation, restriction, restrictive order. And the truth is that, yes, it is necessary. Why is it necessary? For a few reasons, just to understand the concept. The first reason is, if I don't feel myself with preparing for this lecture from this holy book, I don't have anything to give you. If I haven't studied, I can't give you. You can give society as much as you invested in yourself. If you are a first degree, second degree, third degree, if you're a doctor, however much, if you're a rabbi, whatever it is, however much more you learn and you invest in yourself, so your ability is to give. If you turn around and your intention is giving, if my intention is to be a taker, well, that's very wrong. So the left side represents not the taker, but that person that invests into themselves. That person that this investment is going to turn around to become a service of humanity, a service of people. That's beautiful. However, if your investment is going to turn around to be a black hole, by black hole, I mean you're going to be a big taker, selfish, egotistical, and everything is about yourself. And that's the reason why in this world, well, then you missed this reincarnation, because it's all about turning around and becoming a giver. Being in God's image, what do we know about God? God is good, God is giving. God has the intention to create this world just for the benefit of everyone. He's a benefactor. So I have to enjoy all this good, and me saying thank you to my Father in heaven is by being the same, at least a little bit, something every day. But if I don't, then the left side of the Sefirot is a very sad, bad news. And then karma is going to hit me with being very bad to me, because I'm a taker, and therefore the mirror image of the universe, God through the Sefirot, through the universe, is going to act to me in the same way. So far, so good. The big blast, the big atomic bomb, is the middle line. Now, this I understand very, very, very clearly. I thought about it for quite a few years, not only about this, but also about this. If after a very hot day, today is quite cold out in Arizona, but if it was a hot day today, like we usually have, and after a long day, I would go to the shower, and I will open the cold water. Oh, it's too cold. Ice. I'll open the hot water. Oh, it's too hot. It's burning my body. So I'm going to open a bit of the cold, a bit of the hot. I'm going to make a compromise, which should be warm water. Warm water is a compromise. It's not a balance. The middle line is not a compromise. When a husband and wife consummate and they have a kid, have a child, this child is not a compromise. He's a new independent individual who shows the balance, some attributes of the father, some attributes of the mother, but his dependent creation with his own opinion, his own mind. This is the middle line of the Sefirot, depicting that power inside you of everything that is middle inside you, starting with your soul. We're going to go through this. Then your mind, then one mouth. Thank God we don't have two or three. We're going to discuss this as well. Only one. And other organs which are only one, like your heart. Why do we have one heart? Why do two hearts? Like two lungs, two hands, two legs, two nostrils, two eyes. Why one heart? One mind. For me to come to that clear decision, that clear choice, that clear selection between what is right and what is wrong, and do the right thing, even if it's not good for me, it's good for the general public or for my service, even if I have to give up of myself because of my responsibility to God, to people, to family, to the people that I love. And that is the middle line of the Sefirot. So first of all, there's right, which is the giving part. There's left, which is the taking part. But it can be very beneficial if you earn and you invest in yourself in order to give. It can be very detrimental if you take in order to be a taker. And all you do is become depressed, victimized, and everyone owes you, and you always complain because you haven't learned about giving. You have not started to emulate God. This is the greatest thing we're in this world for. And the middle line is coming to weigh both sides, the good and the bad, and many times it's not very clear. And I'll give you an example. When I was very, very young, which means 2.5 years ago, when I was 21 or 2, I was a teacher in a school, in a high school. And this is where I started my career. I had to make ends meet. And let's say I've got one child sitting on my right, and he's a very nice chap, and he's really behaving, and he's interacting with the teacher. Say to him, cheerio, very good, I'm going to give you a sweet at the end of the lesson. On my left is sitting a very naughty, nasty boy who's being a brat, And at the same time, we start getting out of my control. Sam, please watch it. I want it to behave. We're going to send you to the principal. The same one person inside me, not getting out of control, has to praise the one kid and has to be quite strict with the other kid, because I've got a whole class on which I'm the conductor, that I have to conduct this symphony orchestra that will come to the end of the year knowing everything, especially the end of this lesson. This is the middle line. So far, so good. Any comments, reflections on that? Lots to say here concerning education, concerning the way that the world works. If you want to reflect or add anything or subtract or conflict, please go ahead. Mike.
I have a question. Again, in regards to the chakras and the Sefirot lining up, I was just taking some notes. From what I understand, the 7 chakras are basically a simplification of the 10 Sefirot, almost as if the middle way is, instead of integrating both sides and each Sefirot individually, you combine them. So 10 then becomes 7. And what my question is that you see so many of these, these monks and these people who are very spiritual, the Dalai Lama, for instance.
Right.
What I'm asking is, can balance also be reached without trying, with integrating both sides of the Sefirot together? Or would that be just I guess, is it a way to bypass completing moving up the tree of life? Or because
so again, we cannot, this first of all, I'm going to give you a little bit of history, and this history is very important. It's part of this lecture, and that is, Abram had 2 wives. He had, his first wife was Sarah. His concubine was Sarah's concubine, who was Hagar, who was the princess of Egypt. She was the daughter of Pharaoh. She was a princess. After Sarah passed away, Isaac, his son, went to fetch her back, which was a very, very righteous lady, this Hagar, and she has a new name given in the Bible, in the Old Testament, which is Keturah, which means in Hebrew, her actions were so beautiful, it was like fragrance. She was an incredible woman. This is the mother of Ismail, right? The father of all the Muslims. Now, from Hagar, who was a very fruitful kind of girl and lady, Abram had many children. It clearly says in the Bible, we don't go for commentary, just in plain sight, what it says there, all these children, he sent them to the east and gave them quite a few presents. Now, obviously, he didn't give them some cookies for the way, because until they get to the east, they will go stale and rotten. They didn't have refrigeration those days and no flights to India. So what gives did they give him? So Kabbalah teaches us, and again, Kabbalah doesn't come today and try to be wise guy from what happened 4,000 years ago. Kabbalah starts there, and we've got a tradition given through Abram to his children till today. What did he give them? He gave them all the things we see today in the East, which is the chakras, acupuncture, karate, martial arts, all the Chinese wisdom that came from Abram. So when they took the 7 chakras, this is a reduction. But we go to the source, which is Abram, who left us a book, which I've got a few versions of this. They're all the same names, just different commentators on the same. It's called Sefirot, the book of creation. And there he discusses and says, I cannot reduce the 10 to even a 9. I cannot take one of them away. Every one of them is a very important ingredient. It's like I say to you, Mike, my dear friend, I think the 2 digits that you have is too much. Let's take 3 away, because 7, 7 is a great number. It's like the 7. I can't do that. I can't do that. So we don't disagree with the 7 chakras, because it's a different system on its own. However, having studied Chinese medicine as well, it does not reflect all the internal organs. So something is missing, very much missing there when we look at it. So that is a challenge. So again, we don't say something is wrong. We just say it's a different kind of system, and it does not take into account everything else. But the spheres definitely do, and it's been an incredible journey that East, West, and in many, many places in the world, books about the 10 Sefirot have been published in more than, I don't know, in how many endless kind of languages, and this is the accepted way today. The fact that we stick to the sphere, to the chakras, because people did not attach and say, you know what, with the 7 chakras I can heal, what about expanding to 10 chakras? But thank God there are 2 people in this world, no, seriously, there are 2 people in this world, one that I know of is my friend, and the other one is you talking to him humbly now, who've made big books, a big study about this, and this is to make the chakras according to the Sefirot and heal very much according to the Kabbalah way, which this is not part of our lecture, but this is one of my books on the side. It's a very, very hefty book with many, many diagrams according to the Sefirot, and this is really how the Sefirot look like. This is the 10 Sefirot and all the meridians in between them, and they really, really, it takes many, many years to really know them to go into them in depth, and from them to know how to make medicines, which we do in this facility, how to make medicines, how to heal. And seriously, it's all about being very, very compassionate and kind to others where nothing else works. In many places, nothing else works, like a woman not being able to fall pregnant, somebody's got a cyst or malignant cyst in the brain that cannot be taken out. If you touch it, the guy is dead. So what do you do then? All kind of serious questions like this that people can have got challenges to address. Okay, so now that we discussed right, left, and center line, now we're going to discuss different floors. Imagine you go into a home, into a building. It's got 3 floors. So why does it have to have 3 floors? It's very interesting to see that the Ark of Noah had 3 floors to it. The Ark of Noah had 3 floors to the Ark. And the question is, why did it have to have 3? Well, the top one was for people. The middle one, we are told, was for animals. And the bottom one was for the trash. You know, animals, after 1 year, they have to have somewhere to expend the waste products. The same applies to us as human beings. The top part is the head up, not including the throat. That is all the intelligence, the mentality, and seriously also most of our senses. It's very interesting that my hearing, my sight, my taste, my smell, it's all just in here, 4 out of 5. And in people kiss also with the mouth, it's even the 5th sense is right here. Why did God, in his infinite wisdom, put everything in this little box? And the answer is, which is very, very interesting, this is the top floor of the chakras. It's like the cockpit of a 747, where the captain is. Who is that captain? The brain, the mind, and the soul. I can decide before I take in anything, whether I want it or whether it's going to be abusive or damaging to me. I can decide if I want to talk something which is good or gossip about other people. I can decide if I want to hear, or I decide I don't want to hear this because it's going to hurt other people. I can decide if this smell is good for me or toxic for me, and so on and so forth. I can fathom with my sense of smell, mouth, and eyes, whether this fruit that I'm going to take a bite of is good or it's tasteless, or it's too acidic, or it's off already, it's been compromised. So I need all the senses there, because this is the vessel through which I can decide, even without feelings. Even without feelings, at the highest level of operation as human being, as well as the greatest ability of human being is to speak. Yes, I can speak with my arms, but I'm not sure what you're going to understand when I do this. Maybe he's dancing, maybe he wants to smack somebody. I'm not sure what you're going to think. But when I speak with my mouth, you clearly understand what I want to say, whether it's spiritual or mental or emotional or technical kind of speech. Very interesting. So the highest form of chakras are there to allow us to facilitate access to thought and some kind of an internal understanding and emotional intelligence, not only intelligence, before I have any output to give to the world. Very interesting. For example, the eyes. Do the eyes just take away from the world? Do I just see with my eyes? Or can I smile with my eyes? Can I smile to somebody? Can I be compassionate with my eyes? Smiling eyes. Yes, I can. The eyes are not only to take, the eyes can also give every element, everything in my body. I can ask about hearing. Oh, you can't be a giver with your ears. Sure, I can. I can decide oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear this. How can I support you? I can be very compassionate in my hearing towards you. There's a difference between hearing and listening. That's the highest level. The second level is, again, I'm discussing the highest spheres, but I'm giving you an analogy in the human body for you to be able to address this and integrate into your system and say, now we can interact with this. We understand that this is something very human. This is the reason why in many religions they made the human being into God, because they said, well, if the human being has got inside him 10 spheres, it's seemingly he is godly. Yeah, we are godly, we are divine, but we are created. We definitely separated. There was a second before Gil came to this world, and when God decides, Gil will go away from this world. Gil will go away from this world, no question about it. I can't decide it. When I get tired at night, God puts me to sleep. One of the reasons for sleep is to say, Gil, this is enough for you for one day. I understand you're not in control. If you wanted to sleep your hours tonight, well, you're not going to be there again. He wants to limit my being in this world for me to understand that I'm humble, I'm human, I'm created. And so to every person needs to eat, to sleep, and to extract stream from the body, and is mortal, right? It came to the world at one point and leaves the world at another point, otherwise it'll always be there. That's by definition immortality, and that's by definition is the endless God. As we call it in Kabbalah, endless. Endless means there is no limitation. Go to the next level, from neck all the way down to the diaphragm. This is the level of our emotions, of our interactions. Think about it. Why do I need two hands? I even 2 legs, it's enough. Oh, why do I need 2 legs? I've got 2 hands. Well, obviously you'll say with my legs I can walk. I can't walk on my hand. Seriously, you see the kangaroos, they walk, they do many things with both. All the animals walk on 4. Who says I must walk on just 2? We are the only species that walks on 2. The kangaroo, she limps and jumps on 4. The chimpanzees, they usually hop on 4. Sometimes they can stand up also on 2, but most animals walk on 4. What's the difference between? Just finish the sentence. Let me finish 1 second the sentence, and then you can reflect. And so I need my hands to show emotions. The hands come out of my heart. So said Abraham, the forefather, in the book of creation. They don't come out of my head, because I can show emotions in my head, but this is not an emotional part of me. If my hands came out of my waist, this is not the emotional part of me. This is more the practical, technical, sensual part of a person, drives, lower drives, animalistic drives. So the legs say, show with your legs, point with your legs. Legs show which direction I want to walk, to make a statement by going there or not by going there. While hands show which I want to embrace. So when we speak, sometimes we move our hands because I'm expressing my emotions, not only my thoughts. While legs show more our drives, are more earthly kind of needs. So again, from neck down till my diaphragm, this is the second level of the Sefirot, which particularly shows how do we interact with the world, with ourselves, and with emotions, with the internal dialogue of emotion. And this is called the funnel. And we're going to discuss later on. Some people don't have this funnel. Some people are not connected to their emotions or cannot express emotions. For example, Asperger. And then what happens? And many addictions we're going to see later on come out of this, because people go straight from the mind to the hands or to the legs. They bash, they aggressive, or they do other things with the hands or with the legs, because they cannot express emotions. Expression of emotions is one of the greatest parts of our bodies, and in the Sefirot world as well. And the lowest part, from diaphragm downwards, all the way till our toes, 10 digits toes, not 11, not 7, is our lower drives, is more animalistic. And that we have to govern, supervise, and control, but not suppress. Not suppress. And this is very important for me to explain to you, and then I'm giving it to you. Imagine really a human being mind, emotions, and physical. Mind, emotions, physical, mind, body, and soul. But I want to go mind, intellect, or spirituality, intellect, or emotions, and body. Now, what will happen if I don't have a mind? Well, there are many facilities for that, but any kind of decision that I'll make will only be from emotions, and I'm not sure that it'll be very, very wise. I'm not going to go to my bank manager or my accountant or an engineer that's going to fly in the sky, an aerospace engineer, or a lawyer if he lost his mind, a writer that only writes from his emotion. That's interesting. If I lost my heart, well, we see many people in this world that make decisions based on money, based on all kinds of interests, but do not involve the feelings later on to suffer a lot and to make other people hurt because they did not involve the feelings. And I don't want to give very practical examples because it can become quite inappropriate. And most addictions, as I said, are because people do not address and express their emotions. And if I don't express my physicality, which has to be the body stagnates. I need to take care of this body. Without this body, we've got nothing to do in this world. The only reason that I understand that I exist is from this body. And as Job has said in the book of Job, from my own flesh do I see God. Otherwise, I wouldn't know that I exist. But it doesn't end with the body. There's emotions, there's spirit, there's heart, and there's a soul, and there's a mind. Yes, whoever wanted to ask or to address, please do. I think it was Philippa. Yes, please go ahead.
Is there a Hebrew word or a Jewish word for candelabra?
For what?
Candelabra?
Yes, menorah.
Menorah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
What is the menorah symbolic of?
The menorah in our bodies, which is very interesting innovation of the Holy Zohar, shows as follows. And look, we've got a candelabra or menorah in our body. 2 ears is the 2 outer candlesticks. Then we've got 2 eyes. Then we've got 2 nostrils and got 1 mouth. This is a candelabra that's exactly the way it was in the temple with several candlesticks. And each one of them makes part of the whole. I can be a very, very sweet-talking human being, a very charming, but I can have evil eyes of a taker. I can be very good-eyed, but I can hear evil gossip or not being compassionate to other people, as I showed you before. I can, God forbid, go through COVID and lose my sense of smell. And I can badmouth other people too. So for a person to be complete, he has to control his entire 5 senses completely. This is, by the way, the secret of Abram. Abram, not Abraham. Abram in geometrical value is 243. He said, God, I know I cannot have children. I'm an impotent, I cannot have. God told him, I'm going to add 5 a letter hey, which is 5 in geometrical value. Together, going to be 248, the complete geometrical value in Hebrew of Abraham. But that means they're not going to gift you with that. You have to slave away, put incredible effort against resistance, and control completely your 5 senses. Can you do that? And when the Bible says, and Abraham lifted his eyes and he saw, like a Citroen kind of French car, it wasn't an obvious act to look up. Maybe there's idols, maybe something inappropriate. He made a conscious act to recognize consciously when can he look and where can he look? What can he smell? Because you realize that for generations, his life and his children's life depend on that. Otherwise, not going to have any children. He's going to die, and that's it. The end of lineage. This is where the candelabra is, Philippa. Anyone else? Please go ahead.
Is it anything to do with the planets?
Yes. That's why the book of Sefirot, book of creation, discusses in length the 7 major planets. We know today that there are 11. I come from the field, I should know. And we even say in Haggadah of Pesach, when before Passover, we read this beautiful Haggadah, which we says, 11 stars. We knew about it thousands of years back, but the 7 most important ones from the sun all the way to Saturn are only 7, and that is why the weekly cycle is 7. I give you $1 million, I offer to any one of you, if you will come and show me anywhere in the universe, in the physical universe, something that operates on the cycle of 7 like the week. And the answer is it's not, you cannot find. I've already tried. You see that the monthly cycle of the moon is 29 days, 29 and a half days. So the yearly cycle is very exact, 365 days and a quarter. But there's nothing in creation today or in the past, something small, that would show us anything indicative of 7. The only place ever that the whole world accepted this, adopted and embraced the number 7. Why do the Chinese keep the number 7 for a week? Why don't they have a week, like the week of the snake, for 10 days or 20 days? It's in Mount Sinai when God told Moses, keep the Sabbath on the 7th day, start a new cycle. There is no other place in nature that we can, this is incredible, it's mind-boggling. Very interesting concept, okay? Any more, or we can carry on a bit? So, yep, so what I want to start with you now is let's start with the highest level. Let's start with the highest level. The highest level we call in English the crown, and this also, as many of you asked about the chakras that involve the chakra of the crown, and this is very interesting. It's the place which is called the fontanelle, where a child is breathing in and out, where the bones are not yet well formed, and with time, when they are better formed, right, then that place closes up, crystallizes, and then it's cohesive, and you cannot feel it anymore. But this is the place which is called the crown, which in all religions, especially when it comes to Kabbalah and Kabbalistic spheres, this is a higher connection, not only to our higher self, as it's done in the Eastern religions and the chakras, but the connection from there to God. So what does it mean? By the way, one of the commandments in the Old Testament is the tefillin. The tefillin is this black box that we put on top here, and it's written on the all kind of very interesting scripts in Hebrew in a very, very particular kind of way. You need to have a sofer, somebody who's a scribe, who has to learn for quite a lot in order to be able to be a proper certified scribe in a special writing. It's called Azuri kind of writing. And this is a mechanism, this is an instrument by which you open your own chakra of the crown, or Kabbalistically the sphere of the crown, to connect to God every day. You will ask yourself, Gil Tivon is very well known for being a very big feminist, definitely, and I am. It's not being cynical, it's being very humble and truthful about it, yours only. And so what about ladies? What about ladies? One of my first spiritual mentors, I asked him this question as I met him. What about ladies? Why don't they have it? If this is the connection between God and people, well, ladies should also be able to put this on the head. And the answer is a lady doesn't need it. She's above that. A lady is much more connected to God spiritually and emotionally, much better. That's why a lady just opens her mouth and she says a prayer, almost straight away it's accepted. We have to slave away, we men. We are not as updated as you ladies. As we know, first God made the man, it was man and woman, and then he updated the vision, made a woman. But this is the truth. This is the actual truth. A woman does not need this instrument in order to connect to God. That chakra or that sphere is wide open. What does that sphere mean? It means 3 things. First, it means your connection to your belief. If somebody does not have his belief, his connection with God, with his higher self, and first of all with God, who cares about anything else? If I have a marriage, I have a partner, and we don't trust each other, and we don't believe in each other, we have nothing. Why should I try and bother to do anything? Anything you do is because you believe and you trust each other. That applies to human relationships. That applies to if I don't trust myself, I don't trust myself on the road driving, I don't trust myself to give a lecture, I don't trust anything, I can't operate. If I don't have a vision towards the future and trust that vision, how can I carry on? So this is the highest form that we need in everything we do. That's why it's the highest chakra. First, you need to have belief and trust set out Right. Now, understand that this is not simple, because all the Eastern world, Chinese, and again, this is great deal of respect, right? I'm not being cynical or condescending, I'm just stating a fact that is all the Chinese, most of them are atheistic altogether. Most of the Chinese, the Japanese or the Indians are paganic because they believe in different kind of deities. The god of the earth, Mother Venus. They, like the Greeks, the old Greeks, they had different kind of gods. This is where lots of astrology comes from, right? The god of Mars, the god of Zeus, Hercules, and all these kind of deities, which are forces in nature, but they don't stand on their own. So you have to check that belief. What do you believe in? By the way, this is very interesting, and there's a whole book about it that I wrote with my darling wife, which is called The 10 Commandments, and that is, when we come to the first commandment, I'm the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt, it doesn't say I'm the Lord your God who has created the universe. Say the bigger thing. I wasn't there to see, but maybe you believe it, maybe not. But I'm the God your Lord who took you out of Egypt. We were there. We know that's true. We got tradition, word of mouth, all the way there to know we were there. This is evidence. It's not blind belief. It's actual evidence. It's very important. So I need to prove to myself this is true. We don't want blind faith. We want you to prove to yourself this is true. Sometimes I pinch myself. Am I alive? Am I up? Am I sleeping? Well, I know I'm here. I know I'm here. The second thing about it is spiritual pleasure. Again, spiritual pleasure. We are creatures of pleasures. We need, and we're driven by pleasure. We need to eat in order to feel satisfied. We need to see different kind of movies, different kind of music, different kind of, everything is about satisfaction. Now, there are different kind of satisfactions. And Adler, who was a great psychologist, said the human being is driven by pleasure. So if you go up the hierarchy of Maslow, he went up to intellectual pleasure. This is very intellectually pleasurable, you know, a logarithm of cosinus, wow, incredible. We're looking for spiritual pleasure, spiritual satisfaction. That means you must find what is your purpose and mission on earth, spiritually. What does God want me here for? Where's my calling? Where do I line up with the fact that my heart feels joy when I do it? This is where your calling is. Most of the world is not there. Most of the world hates what they do in the everyday. The life is very boring for them. Statistics show 95% have not found the mission and therefore are very unsatisfied. So this is not a small little bit of information. This is practically what you are here for, to find your calling, to find your purpose in this world. This is your spiritual pleasure, right? And the last but not least is your willpower. How much willpower do I need to have in order to pull myself up? Most people say, well, I'm going to go weight watching. Okay, they start one day, they want to jog tomorrow morning, but this morning was freezing cold. They stay in bed. And so we don't go to gym, and we don't go for a walk, and we don't go for a run, and we eat the same habits, and we have a sweet tooth for sugar, we eat the same cakes, and we stay obese, for example, or drug addicts, or whatever it is that our addiction is all about. Because we don't have enough on the inner strength to pull us up. We need to have consistency. Consistency in order to have this willpower that will see us through. To summarize, I'm going to open it to you. Consistency in willpower, internal willpower, which will give me ambition and motivation. Secondly, I need to have a spiritual pleasure that will be the result of my inner purpose and mission that I found. And this is a very hard challenge to find that. Right? That's why we did the last few weeks Kabbalistic numerology and astrology and face reading and powering and all this, because we haven't done it. Because we started, how would I know? That's the reason why I delved into this for so many years, to understand what am I here for. And last but not least, right, we need to have that faith and the trust and to verify with, and again, I'm not a preacher and I'm not trying to brainwash you. You do you. Whatever you believe in, whatever you hold dear and near, whatever is God to you, whatever is your higher calling, this is your belief. If you want to, and you can grow in this endlessly. Right, I'm opening to you. Anyone wants to address? That's a lot to chew on. Please go ahead.
How does it relate to the matriarchy?
Yes, you mean matriarchy like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel? That's what you mean.
As in Jewish religion based on the female line. You were saying about the chakra connected.
Yes. We know, for example, this is very important. We know, for example, this is very important what you ask, Philippa. We know, and good morning, Australia. We know very much that Kabbalistically, the Holy Zohar teaches us that there are shepherds. Shepherds are spiritual mentors that live on this earth that have accomplished and a personified concept of the Sefirot. The highest person that visited this world from this perspective, which is the highest form of Sefirah and Chakra, which is the crown, Keter in Hebrew, is Sarah. Sarah, the foremother, was a complete angel walking on this earth. So she had two names in the Bible. One was Sarah, and also the way that Yuvalet points us to Kamatz, right? Sora, right? Which means it was the highest person, even when it came to prophecy. When it came to doing something very, very, very harsh at home, right? Like throwing the child of Abraham from home, Ishmael, because he was shooting arrows, and the top of Isaac's head. Abraham didn't want to hear about it. He was very aggravated and angry. God said, her prophecy is greater than yours. She's not doing it out of venom. She's not doing it out of vengeance. She has a case, and what she told is out of prophecy. It's higher than yours, the highest ever, higher than anyone else. Ladies I told you, ladies are much higher than men. I stand behind this. Secondly, his second name was Iska. Iska in Hebrew means everyone is shocked. Wow, she is so incredibly, shockingly beautiful. Everybody stopped to look. But in the Hebrew, Rashi tells us, Iska is also, she was all the time going into the Holy Spirit. She couldn't care about how she looked. She never put on makeup. It wasn't her interest to go down the malls and to go to Zara and to H&M and all. She didn't interest her. All that she was interested was connection with God, understanding her. And she was a lecturer. She used to attract many, many ladies and lecture to them about faith, about what we're doing right now. So she was one hell of a lady, and we are proud that she's our foremother for that. She is the highest, not Abraham, not Moses. She is the highest that's ever reached. And if you want to emulate her ways or understand how this chakra works, go into the Bible, follow the footsteps of Sarah, the foremother. Whatever she did, that's the highest. In many places, we don't understand what she does. It's too high for us. Her behavior sometimes is strange, but it's strange because we're limited, but she was almost not limited. This is the place when we kiss godliness, when we touch godliness, this crown, because that's why it's above that. It's not part of us, because it transcends. You remember this beautiful picture of the finger of God touching a human. This is where Sarah is. Any other question before we call it a night? We promise one eye is one out. Any people that were silent more today? Are either you shocked or it's very simple for you? Yeah, please go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so I just had a question on the last couple points that you. I was taking notes. So, if a woman's prophecy is higher than a man's, so to say, is that
usually there are people that arrive, that's reached heights of prophecy, but specifically there between Abraham and Sarah, right. God says, Sarah, her prophecy is bigger than yours.
Okay, so then in that situation, but my question is, if Abraham and Sarah are both being led by the same spirit, how is her prophecy higher? Was it because Abraham did something to lower his consciousness, or is it just
prophecy? No, very good question. Prophecy depends on how much we clean our own lenses, how much we purify, refine ourselves. So people that are very refined in all the ways, in the behavior, in the attributes, in the way of conducting themselves, can see clearer the same. We can be in the same room. If I'm an engineer and an architect, I will see differently than you will see as a layman. If you are a musician or a writer, you will see things in the writing music that I will never see. I don't have the tools. I'm too blind to see it because I don't have the same depth and perspective on life as you do as a professional. The same applies here. Somebody that is cleaning themselves and elevating themselves and refining and connecting with God on a very high level, they've got, so they can be in the same situation, but see different things. And the epitome of this is in the body of Yitzchak when they come to the Mount of Moriah, and he says to Isaac, do you see anything? He says, yeah, I see the cloud of the divine presence. He turns out to Eliezer, his slave, and to Ishmael he brought with it. Do you see anything? The Bible says, it says, nope, we see nothing. It says, sit here with the donkey. Don't come with me. You are in the same presence, the same, you are not unable to see. So if you're unable to see, you're not invited to the party, unfortunately.
I see.
So we don't get the same prophecy. We get different prophecies because we got a different vessel. It all depends on how much you have prepared yourself for that. And you can reach the highest in this world. Right.
I see.
Very good. Anyone else? Oh, we're going to call it a night. I'm going to count 3, public auction, and then we're going to say good morning, Australia. Good night to us Americans, wherever you are, East or West Coast, a few over here, and we're going to see each other, please God, next week. I'm going to send you the link later if you'd like. There's nothing like being part of this lesson. You see, I'm allowing you to participate. It's beautiful, and thank you so much for sharing. This is our lecture, it's not mine. And for those friends that want to see, it's going to be also on the YouTube posted later on. Thank you, good evening, and good night.